So you'll appreciate this, Hans, I think. I think we talked about in like a previous episode the number of beverages that we had. I almost feel like I'm doing that
I think
gag
that was
from
last episode.
What? It was last episode? Okay, because I feel like I'm doing that gag from Police Squad where they crash into like each episode. Like episode 1, he crashes into a trash can. Episode 2, he crashes into like 2 trash cans. Episode 3, he crashes into like 3 bikes. Because today I have a beer. I have a Diet Cola beverage, unspecified brand. I have a rye whiskey. I have a vodka martini, and I have a sparkling. Wait, I wasn't showing you. Okay. I have a traditional lager of unnamed brand.
Nice.
I have.
We won't name the brand unless you pay us.
Yeah. I have a cola beverage, a 0 sugar cola beverage.
Mm-hmm.
I have a rye whiskey.
Nice.
Okay. I have a vodka martini, extra dirty. And
how long do you think this episode's going to go
on? I have 5. So I'm just tomorrow I'm going to come in 6 beverages. Next week 6 beverages. The week after that 7 beverages. Just.
I have water and a beer.
And this is to talk about literally the shortest thing we've ever watched for this, like by far.
This is exactly what the nerds want.
A friend got burned.
I see dead.
Hello and welcome to In Over Our Heads. I almost said Steven C. at all. We've been done with Steve for a while. Nice. Grip it and rip it.
Inducting
I'm Aaron.
in the new audio setup. I'm Zach. I'm professional podcaster, Zach.
I'm Hans.
We're not paid. We're not professionals.
No,
We're still
but I have the new
amateurs.
mic.
But
so I'm
don't
professional.
tell Rotten Tomatoes that.
No, we're professionals. Rotten Tomatoes. We're professionals. We want to affect.
We're
the
professionals.
score.
The
professionals.
sign-ups or whatever applications open up
We're
in
reviewers.
March. I have a reminder set on my phone.
We're real reviewers.
That's awesome. Hey, yeah, listeners, if this episode is out before that, which I hope it is, please pray for us and root for us. And if there's a voting process, vote for us. Because we're
absolutely
trying
not.
really,
How
really
that
hard.
works.
We're
0%
trying
chance.
really, really hard to get approved on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And that would just really make my Christmas in March if we could be approved to be official reviewers for Rotten Tomatoes.
Even if we're only allowed to review Steven Seagal movies.
Yeah, even if it's
And
like a
M. Night
conditional
Shyamalan.
thing, we're only allowed to review Steven Seagal movies. I would be so happy.
And M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
said this
yeah.
is welcome to in Over Our Heads. This
This is welcome to In Over Our Heads
presents
In Over Our Heads presents M. Night Shyamalan in.
episode.
And today we are
4.
talking about Servant, which if you're looking at M. Night Shyamalan's filmography, you might be saying, what is that? Well, you may not know that he directed a few episodes, wrote and directed a few episodes of a TV show for Apple TV Plus. And for this, we watched the pilot. One of my first notes is this going to be 40 minutes of awkward?
Yeah, as opposed
Like,
to as opposed to like an hour and a half of awkward for us usually.
Yeah. I was deeply uncomfortable for pretty much all 40 minutes of this.
Oh, really? I love this. This was amazing.
However-
this, like, spoke to me.
You would, Eraserhead.
Yeah. Well, and then in the last like 30 seconds, I'm like, no, I'm hooked. I'm in. I'm probably just gonna watch the rest of this. I'm going to watch the rest of this just in my own time. Not because anybody asked me to, but because I really need to find out what happens next.
Since we're getting right into it, I thought the exact same thing. I watched,
Okay,
the
good.
first half hour of the show. I wouldn't say awkward as much as it was just trying to make you uncomfortable.
Oh,
And
I
it
was deeply
succeeded in that
uncomfortable.
by a long way. Very uncomfortable. And I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. How there are 4 seasons of this show. Like, it's still running. This
Yeah.
started in, 2019? And there so far have been 4 seasons of Servant. And
It did
at
end
the end.
March 2023. It is like over now, concluded with season 4.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's officially
Even
over.
though,
it's a
like,
complete
even
product.
that, they have, the twist at the end, whatever. We'll get there.
Two twists.
That got me thinking, I'm hooked. I'll watch it. I'm interested. I want to know how
Yeah.
this turns out. And then I still sat back and thought, there are 4 seasons of this?
Yeah.
Like, how do you turn that story?
Well,
We're going to talk about it.
It's
but
gonna
how
go
do you
places.
turn that story into 4 seasons?
So let me give a synopsis of episode 1 of Servant. this is actually going to be pretty hard for me to like talk about how this works. I'm just going to straight up spoil everything that happens in episode 1. Now, this is only the first episode of a 4-season TV show.
I don't
So
know how
there's a
you
big
don't spoil it.
twist at the end. I'm going to spoil episode 1.
There's like a twist 10 minutes in, and then a twist like with 4 seconds left in the episode.
Yes, there are 2 Shyamalan twists in this episode.
Even though I do think we should right at the start like give credit. We mentioned how this is in Shyamalan's filmography. It was Tony Basgalip who created who seems to be like, you could very much say this is a Tony Basgalip product. Executive produced. The Seer is executive produced by M. Night Shyamalan. This episode directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So
Yeah.
Tony, I got you. Real game, recognized game. Want to make sure you get that shout out.
Yes.
Get your flowers.
He also has a cameo.
Shyamalan.
Yeah.
He
I
does.
mean, maybe Tony does, but yeah, Shyamalan does. Yes.
So there is a high-powered couple living in Philadelphia because of course.
Ugh.
And I'm
Ponzi
trying
got
find
used
their
to it.
names here. Yeah, it's a lot of
Could have been anywhere
yeah.
else.
So this is
Not for Shyamalan
and,
thing.
Toby and Lauren. They are living in Philadelphia. Lauren is a newscaster, and Toby is like a food blogger. He like
Are you intentionally saying the actors' names, not the characters' names?
oh yeah,
Dorothy
yeah.
and Sean.
Dorothy and Sean. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this.
We're just so used to saying Steven Scott is this. Steven Scott is this.
I know this is terrible. Yeah, Dorothy and Sean. Dorothy is a newscaster for 8 News, and Sean is a kind of like a food blogger, but he's like a professional chef. He advises like fancy restaurants in Philadelphia, and he is like a food pioneer. He's trying new sorts of recipes and things. That's like his job. And I'm getting looks from Zach already.
Food pioneer.
His whole thing is to like experiment and try new things to give new kinds of recipes to fancy restaurants in Philly. And then he blogs about it from home. So he works from home, which is important. They hire an au pair, like a live-in nanny. This 18-year-old girl named Leanne.
A servant,
who's going
you could
to
say.
be a servant, one could say, who is going to be living with them to take care of their child, Jericho. Now,
Great
there's a
name.
big question mark over the child, Jericho, because so there's lots of awkwardness inviting Leanne into the home. There's like this weird sexual tension with Sean that he like leers at her. Dorothy is like immediately like, don't look at her like that. Don't think about her like that. Bad, stop it. But he does anyway. And then like pretty early on into the episode, as it's about to be time for like Leanne to start taking care of the baby, you find out the baby is not a baby, but it is like a prop baby from a movie, and that their real son died like months ago.
13
and has
weeks.
been dead for a while. How long?
He died at
13
13 weeks, and I believe they say it's like 6 weeks before this takes place or something.
And so Dorothy, her therapist, who is apparently like not a licensed therapist, told her to buy a movie prop baby modeled after Jericho and take care of that as if it were her baby to help her through the grieving process. Sean hates this.
Yeah. She was in
And-
what do they say? Like a catatonic state. She,
Yeah, they
Yeah,
said she
she
has like
went
a
and
full
she
meltdown,
had, like-
psychotic break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
Hor-
that was what
horrific
brought her
grief.
out of the
Yeah.
catatonic
So she
state.
is not in horrific grief, but she is delusional.
Yes.
She takes care of this rubber baby as if it were her actual baby, and Leanne is totally into it,
100%.
100%,
All gas, no brakes, bought in, locked
like
in,
committing to the bit.
putting it in a stroller,
Full
taking it
steam.
for walks, glaring
And,
at
yeah,
the dad when he's
Sean-
like, it's a doll.
This is
Yeah.
not a comedy.
No. But Sean, it is
comedy.
I don't know.
it's
but
filmed
we're
much more
talking
like
about
a
it
horror.
it's a comedy.
It is filmed much more like a horror. Like my actual first note is M. Night really loves harsh downlights.
Yeah, from seconds into this episode, you like
Yeah.
get this feeling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's filmed, and just the texture of it is very much horror movie, which I was deeply uncomfortable the entire time.
That's
and
what
then
they
you find
wanted.
out, as Leanne is taking care of this baby, that she is deeply religious. Like she kneels by her bed and prays every night. She puts like a cross that she handmade over the baby's crib.
And it's like a Blair Witch
And-
Project cross. Like,
Yeah, it's like it's made out of like straw. that she like spun together, like straw and twine that she spun together. And it's really creepy looking. But she hangs it over the baby's crib, the fake baby's crib. Sean hates all of this. He is not religious. He doesn't believe there should be any religious influence in the house. But he still kind of leers at Leanne.
Ugh, man,
So he's
right.
not too upset that she's around. Yeah, and then so he like tries to not care for the fake baby when he thinks nobody's looking, but now there's like another person in the house who's just always looking over his shoulder to make sure he takes care of the rubber baby. Until eventually, in the last 30 seconds of the film, Leanne goes to bed and leaves the baby monitor in the kitchen as Sean is working on something like one of his food blogs or whatever. Then he hears a sound coming from the baby monitor.
Yes.
And he walks into the baby's nursery. There's a live baby in that crib.
Let's
and then
go.
we cut the credits.
I'm watching 40 episodes of this.
Then I'm locked in.
You got me. I need to know where this baby came from.
I was like, I don't know. This is pretty creepy. I don't know if I can handle this for more than one episode. And then real baby. Nope, I'm in.
Yes.
You got me. I'm hooked.
100%.
Also, Rupert Grint is in here.
Also,
I
He's
was just
trying
about
his
to
darndest
say, you
to do
left
an American
out easily
accent.
the best part.
I love him.
He is trying so hard to do an American accent. And I have no idea where it's from, but I'm rooting for him.
I mean, to
He's
be
doing
fair,
okay. He's doing pretty well.
I mean, to be fair, he did it here, and then M. Night Shyamalan's like, I want you to do that again in Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to do whatever that is. Bring that magic back for my apocalypse movie.
Well, and he has about as many lines in this episode as he did in Knock at the
yeah,
Cabin.
and about as much
Yeah.
screen time too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Rupert Grint
And most of the
is-
time in this episode, he's just slamming whiskey.
I love it. Oh my god! But they're making like these weird seltzer whiskeys, and he is.
Yeah, he's making whiskey soda.
When you hear that Aaron says he's slamming these whiskeys, you might think he's like knocking them back, like drinking them. No, he like puts the seltzer and puts the whiskey and like slams it on the table.
Slams it on the table, and then knocks it back, and then slams the empty glass on
Yes.
the table.
That's
And
very
makes
good.
himself another one.
I love it. It's my favorite.
He's Dorothy's brother, and he is one of the only people that know that Jericho died. They
Yeah.
like haven't told anyone else because they didn't want like the sympathy to come back to Dorothy because it would make her worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would mess
it would
with the
break
like
the illusion.
shared fiction that they've created.
It's a prestige kind of thing.
Yeah, so now I want to know how Rupert Grint handles there being a real baby back in the crib.
Oh my god!
because
I need to know
I
how's
need to
Rupert
know.
Grint react. Because you know, like episode 2 or 3, that Sean's gonna be like, "Hey, Rupert Grint, that was a fake baby, right? Like, don't gaslight me." Like,
Yeah.
okay,
I
so-
wasn't imagining a fake baby the entire. I didn't like smack the baby's head on the crib, did I? Like,
we should be clear. Like, did either of you watch on past episode 1?
no, I
not yet.
stopped.
I really
Okay.
wanted to, but I didn't.
I
really
stopped
want
too
to.
because I wanted to talk about it here, but I actually really do want to keep watching.
So that's good. That's positive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
This-
I recommend episode 1 at least. I don't know how the rest of it turns out, but I recommend episode 1 of Servant. It was really, really interesting. I think you do have to have like a high, not cringe tolerance. It's not.
You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
I just felt so deeply uncomfortable during
Yeah.
certain parts of this, and
Which-
just mildly uncomfortable through the whole thing.
This like
Actually,
did-
finding out that there was a live baby in the crib, I was just like released. I was like, "Oh, thank goodness!" Something like so weird,
Well, now-
and unexpected. Like I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah,
There's
and
no
now
more
you know
Uncanny
where
Valley.
it's going. Like, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, this did help put kind of thoughts that I've had into words. Is that I feel like when we talk about M. Night Shyamalan, he gets lumped in like the horror category a lot. But I mean, maybe as we get through, maybe it'll kind of become more standard horror. But I really do feel like much like this show, like less so than like horror, because like he doesn't really do jump scares,
Yeah.
and he doesn't even do like that much like bloody gruesomeness. He like
There
does
were actually a couple moments where I
unease.
thought there'd be a bit of a jump scare, and there's wasn't.
Yeah, like I feel like he really works in like the unease, like the discomfort genre.
Yeah, it is almost cosmic horror.
Yeah, almost, because it's just like, is my brain comprehending what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dialogue shots in this movie, though, very.
Can we talk about the camera work?
The
I wanna talk about
cinematography.
I think. I think
So
a
interesting.
lot of Trap may have been inspired by this, which also may have been inspired by previous works of his, which I don't know about because we haven't seen them yet because we're doing this in the wrong order. But the shots of looking straight down the camera, like right next to their face, like this.
Yeah, you can like almost see
Wow.
the
No, I like-
actor's breath on the lens. Like everything
So-
is so up close.
This is something that like, because this is the first time we've ever talked about a TV show. Normally we talk about movies. And something about me, I'm not saying this is like the correct opinion to have, but I like don't particularly, in most cases, think about like cinematography, like, you know, the visual aspect of like TV shows as much as movies. Like for movies, I'm like watching the cuts, I'm watching the camera moves, like I'm watching all of this.
Yeah.
But like most of the time, like we watch, you know, The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like Community, Superstore, like these shows that are good, like they look fine, but like they look like TV shows. Like even when you watch
It's much more about the characters and the dialogue than it is the cinematography.
and like even when you watch one of these shows that's really like that just feels like a movie stretched across 6 episodes, it still doesn't have like that movie quality to it. It still feels like shots of people standing around talking.
Yeah, so I think like an example of this for me is like Game of Thrones. I think is shot like a really expensive TV show. I don't think it's shot like a movie.
Yeah.
The kinds of techniques they use.
It looks
very
good,
different.
but I don't think
looks
about it
really
the same
good.
way I think about a movie.
Yeah.
This one, while I was watching, I felt myself like watching it more like a movie than a TV show for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Like there are like so many moments that just kind of like you said, these really like we're talking tight-in shots. You're not seeing forehead, you're not seeing chin when characters are talking to each other. But it's very
Sometimes
motivated.
you're only seeing like 1.5 eyes. Like
Right.
it's so
But
close.
like that opening scene. So the way it opens is just like you have this couple and there's like, hey, is she here yet? Like, you know, you're kind of like, what's going on? Who's this? And then like, you know, this gal moves in. They give her this house tour, but they're giving her this house tour. It's like very static shots, very distance. Like the camera's like showing you rooms, but it's like the camera is like sitting on the end table of the bedroom. And like you're seeing them walk to the doorway and look in the room. Like it's these.
And every one of them has like perfect symmetry.
Yeah.
It's like they're sitting right
and
in
the
between
lighting
the
is
couches,
so
and
dramatic,
then right
you're
in
not seeing
between
the
the
whole house.
candelabras on the table, and then
Well, and I think something that really adds to the unease of like how these rooms are shot, just like how do we get a concept of space? They're shot in a way that you never see an entire room at once.
Yeah. And you're seeing from
You
within
only
the room
see
out.
parts of a room.
Yeah. Like it's just, but it's so interesting because you go right from that and it just feels like an awkward house tour I've been on. Aaron came out and like visited us and I was like showing him around and like any kind of weird awkwardness you have being like, and here's my bathroom. Like I felt that watching this. And then it goes to
This is where I poop. Okay. Next.
and then it's going to like the, you know, hey, so what are your hobbies? 18-year-olds don't have hobbies. Like this whole weird, like kind of getting to know you thing.
Actually, I read magazines and
I know. And like the dad's like, oh, we can relate to each other. Oh, no, we can't. And that is with these
he
type of
says,
shots.
"Well, that's almost reading."
He's such a
He's such an.
I'll get to that in
hey,
a
let's
second.
have a glass of wine to celebrate. Oh, you're 18.
Put a pin in that. Put a pin in the dad being an asshole, 'cause I need to get back to that.
Yes.
But like that, so I went from a weird, awkward house tour I've been on, represented perfectly, to then like that weird, awkward, like introducing yourself, figuring out a person who's going to have this weird relation, like professional, whatever. So like I work in, professionally, my job, I work in res ed. Like I have lived in the building where I work. So that weird, like this is my apartment, but also my workplace kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just that
my office
introduction.
is downstairs.
Yeah. Like the
my
fact that
office where people come
students
in and
could
sit down and talk to me is downstairs.
Yes. And like for me, like people could literally come and knock on my apartment door and I'm like, it's 8 p.m. Like we're not talking about this now. We're talking about your roommate conflict tomorrow. Sorry. But so it's like that. And it's like the way, the visual language, the cuts, the shots, the lighting, the staging is like all communicating this. And then like another moment that I really want to highlight is at the very end, because like this is so many like cameras locked in. The camera's not moving a ton in this episode. And then it does like at the very end when she's like leaving the baby monitor with him and he's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. It's a fake baby. I don't give a shit. The camera does like 2 horizontal pans, like in 2 different shots that kind of connect to each other. He hears the baby and then it's doing like a vertical push in as he's going into the room. And like those are the only like really 2 motivated times like of camera movements. And it's at this realization that the baby's real. And like that just like I was in love with that. It was fantastic.
It was very, very well done.
And so like this is a TV show that I'm like watching it like a movie, which might just sound like some gobbledygook bull, but like
No, genuinely, because it uses techniques that don't show up in TV, and like it also does things with like playing with expectations. So you keep waiting for Leanne, the live-in servant, the live-in nanny, to violate some boundary, and she never does.
the
In a way that anyone knows. They're violating. She has this way of violating boundaries in ways that either no one ever finds out about or are like welcome.
yeah.
So
It's a parasite situation.
Yeah, so the mom, Dorothy, she has mastitis. She has a swelling in her breast and is really, really uncomfortable. And so, like, she has to massage it to remove blockages at night, and it's really painful. And there's, like, a scene where she's in the bath doing that. And Leanne checks on her, make sure she's okay. And then Leanne ends up, like, massaging the blockage out of her breast. And it's, like, kind of this weird sexual tension thing. But it's really awkward, but then ends up that she really helps her out. So, like, the way it's shot and the way the scene progresses, you're, like, expecting this kind of creepy, like, this mix of sex and horror. But at the end, it actually, for me, it was just kind of like a nice moment.
Yeah.
By the end of it, like, thank you for helping me. It, like, pulled back from the discomfort of it.
Well, and
at
you
the
even
end.
have, like, there's a comparison there whenever you think of intimacy, not necessarily, like, sexual intimacy, but, like, she's having this pain. When Leanne is there,
Yeah.
she goes in, she, like, helps her massage it. Like, there's this weird tension that kind of, like, breaks and you realize things are okay. Earlier in the episode, she's having that pain, and, like, her husband is in the bathroom with her. He's, like, sitting on the toilet, like, with a magazine, like, complaining about Leanne.
Yeah.
Like, they are physically distant. He is not helping her. Like, he is just kind of, like,
actually
annoyed that
tells her to
she's moaning
stop.
and groaning.
Yeah, he tells her to stop.
Yeah. So you have, like, you're seeing this comparison there where it's not just like, oh, that's kind of a weird moment. Like, you're already seeing the, like, connection almost of Leanne and the mother, like, versus
And then another
the mother and the father.
moment I want to point out where there's, like, this crossing of boundaries, but then pulling back from the horror or the scandal or the awkwardness of it, that Leanne has this ability. So there's established in the show, in this first episode, that Leanne has an ability to cross boundaries without repercussion. So there's no retribution when she crosses a boundary. So she places a cross over the crib, and there's a little bit of an argument about it, but Dorothy's fine with it, and Sean just doesn't care enough about a fake baby to do anything about it. He doesn't like it, but he's not going to do anything about it. And then there's the whole thing with, like, massaging the breast, and it was weird, but then it ended up being no problem. Like, it was accepted. And then Sean and Dorothy take the fake baby somewhere, and they're gone for, like, an entire day. And so it's just Leanne wandering around the house alone and, like, playing with Dorothy's jewelry, kind of not going through her stuff, but just, like, looking at everything she has, and then finally taking a bath in Dorothy's bath. So Dorothy has used this bathtub, like, multiple times, and then eventually Leanne takes a bath in there, and then, like, she gets into the bath and then immediately cuts to them coming home, and then Dorothy's like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. So she goes into the bathroom, and I was expecting, I think the show is I almost said movie is trying to get you to expect, like, oh, we're gonna finally here, we're like, I know we're at the end of the episode, she's going to get caught crossing a boundary. And then, so Sean is, like, holding this fake baby. He's like, okay. And then just tosses the baby in the corner.
he like, spikes it like he just got
He hates this thing. He just tosses it
eats
in the corner. And this is one of the few times the camera moves. The camera turns, and there's Leanne in a nightgown standing at, like, the first landing of the staircase looking at Sean. Just watching. And then Sean feels uncomfortable, picks the baby back up, and the camera turns, shows Sean picking the baby back up. Dorothy comes out of the bathroom, walks up the stairs, camera turns to follow Dorothy. Leanne's gone. It's like she was never there. So she never gets caught crossing a boundary, and whenever she does cross a boundary, she gets away with, quote unquote, gets away with it, is how I would describe it so far in this episode. So she's allowed to cross what are, like, normal boundaries in ways that she is not harmed by it at all. And she has this, like, mystical aura around her that she's treated almost like a ghost in this house, that she can be in a place, she's always in a place that will cause the most shame to Sean, that always makes him feel guilty. And it's fascinating how it accomplishes that.
Which I do appreciate that scene. Also, going back to things earlier in the episode, like, there's so much little subtle, like, setup and payoff.
Yeah.
Because when they're first meeting her and they're like, you know, what are your hopes and dreams? She's like, I want to grow up and, like, you know, I want to have my own family, be a mother someday. Like, that's her one hope. And she's not just, like, going through Dorothy's stuff just kind of for the fun of it. Like, she puts on like a ring or something, and she's like, oh hello, yeah, yes, that's for my husband.
Yeah.
Like, she's acting like she's kind of living out that fantasy. And also, like you mentioned, that she is just kind of like a shame ghost for Sean. That, like, there's earlier in the episode, he's just like, well, I don't want to, like, get caught beating off in the house or something. And, you know, Dorothy's just like, don't you beat off in the house when she's here. Like, it just feels like that. It just feels like for him, he was kind of like, I'm not really buying into this baby fantasy. And now there was, like, that element of it. And now it's also, I can't live in my house without, like, constantly feeling, like, weird in my own house because this, like, new person is here.
Yeah. Always being watched even when I'm not.
Like it's changing the way I live, and I work from home, so it's changing the way I live like 24/7.
Yeah, and Sean's character is kind of based around this idea that he does act very differently when he knows he's being observed, because if Dorothy ever saw him treating the fake baby as fake, she would have a meltdown. And so he's always very conscious of when he's being watched. And so that's already built into his character, that he lives two lives, one when people can see him and one when they can't. And now he doesn't have that second life. He's always being watched. And it just really adds to the discomfort of that character. It's great.
And I will...
It is. It does. The only thing I want to say, though, is the way you're talking about it, you're making it seem like he's... Because I know Zach wants to talk about it, too. You're making it seem like he's, like, shady. Like, that's not the right word.
Yeah.
He's
not.
He's not.
I think he looks bad because he's being watched. Like, it's really interesting how he does.
But they also, like, it's a testament to the storytelling, because our retelling isn't going to give it that credit.
No.
But like, he's still grieving the loss of his son.
Yep.
Yes.
And he can't do that properly because his wife is delusional, and he has to pretend that this baby, this fake baby, is his real son. And now with this, with Leanne in the house, there's a scene where he tells her, after his wife leaves for work and it's just the two of them, he says to her, like, you're here for, 90 days or something like that? Like, we paid ahead for 90 days. The city center is a 15-minute bus ride. Like, you can just go have the time of your life on our dime, and as long as you're back here by the time my wife is home, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm cool with it. Like, you're good. He's expecting her to do that, and then she buys in on the fantasy, and I think that's what sets him off even more, because now not only can he not grieve properly with his wife, but he can't even grieve properly by himself.
Yeah.
You were going, like, Hans brought up the exact same thing I was going to say, is that, like, to his credit, we're just kind of talking about how he's like this kind of like asshole jerk who's like kind of like not cool with everything. But like,
he's grieving deeply.
They have a moment like when his wife is asleep and like he's alone and he like goes into the room and he like holds this doll and he like cries.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when we talk about his like dual life, like,
and that's when it's revealed that the baby is rubber.
Fake.
Yeah.
And like half of it I do feel like is that he's just like, this is dumb. This is like some unlicensed therapist, like some shrink telling us. Like I do think that half of the way he acts is because he's legitimately just like, I don't think this is the best thing to do. But I do feel like half of it is like, not that he's like acting for an audience, but I think he's like acting for himself, because he like in those moments where he's very much treating it like it's all, he's like treating it like worse than he has to. Like he doesn't just like pick up the baby, like whatever. He picks up the baby and like bonks its head on the crib. Like when he walks in, he's not even like, yeah, okay, whatever, and sets the baby down. Like he yeets
goes
it
out of
the
his
floor.
way to treat it as an object.
Yeah, like I think he is specifically like kind of trying to make sure to himself that he's like, I'm not getting attached to this. Like I'm doing everything I can to remind myself it's just a doll. And I think that's a really interesting, like, because it's not that he's mad about it. It's just a very interesting characterization to give a guy like that.
And I think it's a testament to the writing and characterization that we are psychoanalyzing them as people and not trying to
I'm like, I understand
dissect
Sean's
the writing of the character.
Which, speaking of,
Yeah.
we're going to come back to something I put a pin in earlier.
Okay.
When we talk about, you know, Zach loves to live in his discomfort, like, you know, Whiplash is this like fantastic movie.
You do.
So, because that's the thing, whenever you talk about like, oh, you're so uncomfortable, oh, of course Zach would love it. I'm loving it because of how uncomfortable I am. I might have felt more uncomfortable than you two, and that's what made me love it, because you know like how the uncanny valley works.
Yeah.
That like if something is very distantly from us, we're just like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. But if something's like really like too close to us but not quite, like that's what hurts.
Yeah.
So I want to be very clear, not in all of his ways, not Sean in general, but like in that first intro scene of him, like
we spent enough time like, you know, helping out Sean. We're gonna dunk on him again.
Well, no, I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm okay. Listen to how I dunk on him.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I don't like to think that I'm an asshole, but I do think when I was watching this, Sean is an asshole in the way that I would be an asshole if I were like more of an asshole. So that's the thing. So like, let's think about Sean, you know, Toby Kebbell's character, and then Julian, Rupert Grint's character.
Yeah.
Because like Rupert Grint's character shows up and he is like a real a-hole. Like he is not fair at all. This guy shows
just
up and
out and out.
He's just like, I don't get why we're doing this shit with the baby. Slam. Like he's just being like he's a D-bag. But I'm just like,
terrible.
Hell yeah, dude's rock. Because like he's an asshole very differently from how I'd be an asshole. But like this servant, this nanny comes to live in, and it was literally the moment when Sean's just like, oh, I don't know if my wife mentioned it in the email, but please don't touch my espresso machine. Like, that's very delicate. And I'm just like, oh.
I thought of you.
It's an antique.
The first and only thing I thought of was you.
I'm just like, oh no, that's uncanny valleys to Zach. That's too close. So I was like so uncomfortable with Sean because I'm just like, ooh, if I were to unfavorably characterize myself, like this is how I would be in my moments. So I was just like, so it's like I'm looking at one of those like, you know, a bad CGI like human or like a Disney animatronic. And I'm like, it's like activating like a fight or flight in my brain when I see Sean because it's like too close to me. It like hurts extra. But Rupert Grint shows up and I'm just like, hell yeah, let's go, man. Respect. Slam that drink down harder, why don't you? Yeah, let's go.
I want to see you crack the table.
Yeah, I want to see you crack the glass and the table. So that's the thing is when I'm not ragging on Sean because you know, we're not so different, you and I. Like,
Yeah.
but so think about all the discomfort you had and then also like not seeing yourself, but seeing like the funhouse mirror of yourself when you're watching this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Ghost of Christmas Future.
Because that's the thing. I want to be very clear because the worst part isn't even don't touch my espresso machine. It's like, I'm not sure if my wife mentioned it in the email, but don't touch the espresso. I'm like, oh no, Sean, why would you do this to me personally?
Well,
Fantastic.
this was written for you personally.
I'm so
Zach.
uncomfortable. I love it. I'm locked in. We're going to come back next week. I'm going to be like 4
No,
episodes.
the reason I'm locked in is because when they revealed that there's a live baby in that crib,
Well, yeah, I'm
all
also
the
locked
discomfort
in for the
vanished
real
for
baby.
me. Oh, well, that was like the release of the discomfort for me. I was no longer uncomfortable at that point.
You go from like discomfort to confused and you're just like, I want answers.
Well, because so I was just uncomfortable at first, like right before it was revealed that the baby is fake, when he like bonked the baby's head against the crib.
That
I'm
happens.
like, oh
You're
no,
like,
is
what
he gonna like kill the baby now? What's going on? I know they're like Dorothy and Sean are fighting, so like I don't know what this is. And then it reveals that it's fake. I'm like, oh, okay, that's still super creepy, but not the thing that I thought it was. I actually have in my notes, I feel so much less uncomfortable now that I know the baby's been dead for months. Like that made it
even though that rubber
better
baby
somehow.
is creepy in some shots.
very creepy.
Literal
It's a very
uncanny valley,
realistic
just creepy.
rubber baby used for like movies and stuff. Very, very realistic. The eyes freak me out.
Oh, I didn't like the
And the hair. Oh, the hair is terrible.
No. Bad. Very bad.
But then, like, the discomfort is building throughout the rest of the episode. Then you get to like the last 10 seconds. I'm like, oh, it's a real baby. Okay, I don't have to worry about like an uncanny valley rubber baby anymore. And I'm just really interested to see how everybody reacts. Like, okay, so I want to do something. I want to go through each character. I want predictions on how they will react. And I think I want to start with the most interesting, Dorothy.
Well, she's just going
How will
business as
Dorothy
usual.
react?
So, she's
So
gonna
that's
roll
my
it.
thought. I think she's so deep in the delusion that she won't even notice the difference.
She's like, oh yeah, no, that's
Baby's been alive the whole time. What are you talking about?
yeah, that's Jericho. Hey, what's up?
And I definitely think that's how Leanne's gonna go.
Oh, 100%.
And Sean is already freaking out.
I do think Sean
And I-
is gonna go to Rupert Grint and be like, dude, I need you to like back me up here.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you got on me at the beginning of this episode for calling everybody by
No.
the actor name.
I need to be very clear. It's Dorothy, it's Sean, it's Leanne, and Rupert Grint. Everyone else we're doing character names. Rupert Grint doesn't get to be Julian Pierce. He's Rupert Grint.
He's Rupert Grint. He also stands out as incredibly famous child actor Rupert Grint
Yeah.
when he shows up on screen. Like, I mean, everybody else here is a very skilled actor. Everyone was doing a really, really great job in this, but they're not Rupert Grint famous in my mind.
No.
And so when he shows up on screen, I'm like, that's Ron Weasley.
That's Ron Weasley. That's Rupert Grint.
But
Even
he
if you haven't
curses
seen the
now.
Harry Potter movies.
More.
I do.
Yeah. Ron Weasley's just slamming whiskey sodas.
Can I tell you about how pissed off I got watching this episode, though? Not at the episode, not at the show.
Oh.
But I have
yeah,
a
sure, what's
story
going on?
of like legitimate anger while watching this
Oh, no.
that you
Okay.
just made me think of whenever you were talking about the characters and like, you know what they've done before.
Yeah.
So mad. So I'm watching the show. I'm like still mad about it. I'm watching the show. I get like 10 minutes in or so. You're expecting like, okay, maybe there's going to be like a Shyamalan twist or something. But the nanny
were too.
shows up, Leanne. She shows up, and I'm just like, I feel like I vaguely recognize her from somewhere. My first thought is that something that I was like kind of happy with is like, you know, when you watch like a TV show a lot of times and like they're like, oh, this is a high schooler, and you're like, that's a that's a 25-year-old. So the one thing I did
Yeah.
appreciate is that the gal who's playing Leanne, like she's 18 in the show. In like real life at time of filming, she was 20. So I'm like, that looks like
Yeah,
an
she was born in
18-year-old from
99.
Wisconsin,
Oh my gosh.
right? I'm like, that looks like that could be an 18-year-old from Wisconsin. That's chill. But I'm like, I recognize her from somewhere. Spoiler alert, the answer is Game of Thrones. She was
Yes.
Cersei's kid in season 5 and 6. Her daughter in 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what I ended up, that's the information I wanted. But on the way there, oh, I'm so mad. So what happened is I'm watching the show
She's Marcella.
and I just
Yeah.
open up
Okay.
like 10 minutes into this episode 1. I open up Servant TV series on Wikipedia, the Wikipedia page for the show. Because I'm just like, oh, I just need this actress's name, like to see like where I recognize her from. I won't say what the information was, but I read some information that seems to be like a spoiler. Like I read information that doesn't seem like information you're supposed to have. So I go on the Wikipedia page and it's literally like you have your three little intro paragraphs for like, oh, this is the show on Apple
Yeah.
TV. It premiered on this date. It was canceled on this date. You have the premise and then you have cast and characters. In the cast and characters section of a main character, not going to say which character, not going to say what the information was, but there was a little tidbit of information spelled out there. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's something they'll reveal at the end of episode 1. And in that case, you know what? No harm, no foul. You're just spoiling episode 1. Maybe this is going to be something that's revealed at the end of season 1. And you know what? I'll be a little annoyed about that. No, I come to find out that just in the main character, like this actor, actress plays this character who is blank. You know, it's just like Toby Cabela, Sean
Yeah.
Turner, Dorothy's husband and stay-at-home consulting chef. He has one sentence. This is a season 4, episode 10 series finale reveal that they put in the just like character description on the Wikipedia before you even scroll down.
Great.
I am so mad. I literally paused this like 15 minutes in the episode, went to my computer and edited it out of the Wikipedia page because it made me so livid. I'm like, why would you put the series finale reveal?
Really?
So I won't say, and so I'm gonna give you a word of warning. I edited the Wikipedia page to get that out, and like I set an alert, like you can watch a page. So if somebody goes in and edits this Wikipedia page, like I'll get a notification, so I can see if that's changed. At time of recording, like yes, if you scroll down all the way to the bottom of the page and you go to season
Yeah.
4, episode 10, it'll still be there.
Yeah.
But there was seems like and I'm not saying this isn't something you'd figure out on your own as you watch the show, but for 10 minutes into the first episode, a pretty big reveal that I don't normally get super mad
That's
about
great.
spoilers, but I'm like, whoever did that, I need to track down whatever Wikipedia editor, like user did this. Why would you put that like in a main character in like the 2 or 3 sentences that you use to describe the main character? Why would you do that? I like had to pause. Like I didn't watch this episode in one sitting because I had to pause and go and get rid of that because that like frustrated me so much. Like that sometimes that just can't be helped. Like when like a character dies or something and you Google a show, you Google Star Wars, episode 6, and they're just like, Jabba the Hutt deceased. And you're like, oh no, spoiler. Like that's annoying. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
what person thought this wasn't like some kind of AI show summary from like Google results? What person went in and put in the series finale spoiler into a character's like some snippet summary?
Yeah.
And I had to do it. There was another little thing in like the opening paragraph or in the premise or something. I had to get rid of it like twice because it like shows up twice, like above the fold on the Wikipedia page for the show.
Oh.
Hated it. So mad.
Good.
Other than
Thank
that,
you for doing
had a
it.
great
Thank you for your
experience watching.
service.
I'm in these Wikipedia
That wasn't the
minds.
show's fault.
It wasn't the show's fault. No, I'm enjoying the show. Whatever, I don't know. I'm going to go through the edit history. I'm going to find who it was. I'm going to send this person hate mail via Wikipedia. Like, 'cause I'm so mad. Other than that, had a great time. Can we talk about the cinematographers? Can we talk about cinematography?
Yes, please.
Yes. So, Jaron Blaschke and Mike Gialkis. I don't actually know who did this episode, but both of them have been Shyamalan like familiars before.
Cinematographers?
So Mike, he worked with M. Night Shyamalan on Split, Glass, Old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and 12 episodes of Servants. And Jaron, he's worked with Shyamalan. Oh, he does a lot of Robert Eggers. I just watched The Witch recently. He did The Witch, he did The Lighthouse, he did The Northman, and he's doing Nosferatu. So I'm going to watch that
I
later
will
this
say
year.
Mike Giulakis is the only one of the cinematographers with a servant credit in 2019. So I'd imagine that means that this was.
Oh, wait. I do
filmed
see
by
now. Jaron, he did Servant episode Boba in 2020.
I don't know
So
that
yeah,
one, but
that
I'm looking
was,
forward
so
to it
this
now.
episode was Mike. But I'm going to give Jaron a shout out too. For M. Night Shyamalan, he did Knock at the Cabin. It looks like. Actually, it looks like that's the only Shyamalan other than this. So they're not quite as close. It's definitely Shyamalan and Mike. But I want to highlight this because we've talked about in this show specifically, but like this is again kind of one of the issues that people have with like auteur theories. You say this was a Shyamalan production. The camera shots were so good. And you're like, well, this was a collaborative effort.
He did hire a guy to do that.
He hired a guy to do that. But I do think as a director, something I really like about M. Night Shyamalan is he knows how to work with his cinematographer. Like we've had different ones. Like we've had when Mike on Old, we had Jaren on Knock at the Cabin. So like we've seen this before, and there are moments and all that. Like something that I will say, like to Shyamalan's credit, is that he seems to hire people that he's able to work with very well, because like every episode so far we've talked about like an aspect of like camera placement, like framing, like camera movement, something that we like. So I feel like he knows how to hire people to collaborate very well with. Like I'm sure it is Shyamalan's directing, but it is also it is like Michael Giolakis's like cinematography that I do also like. But like M. Night Shyamalan seems to have a respect for cinematographers, and it seems to be like a collaborative thing, and they do good work together.
Yeah, it's really good to see M. Night Shyamalan work alongside somebody. Now, this is the first thing that we've watched so far that he did not write.
Yes.
So, what effect do you think that has on it? I think it's generally a very positive effect.
Characters talk normal.
Yeah, I think the
people
writing
talk
in
like
this
people.
is really good, and I have defended in our last few episodes. I have defended M. Night Shyamalan's writing because I think he has very different goals in his writing.
Yes.
Than
100%.
the goals are here.
I'm like
these
3
people,
for 3 on fighting for his writing, but it was kind of refreshing to have something different.
Yeah, it was kind of refreshing to have characters that talk like people.
Not like no Hans, you don't understand. This 8-year-old boy talks about like the idea of like what an 8-year-old boy could like be like.
Yeah, the characters are like supposed to be human beings, not
human beings, real people that talk like
personified
people.
anxieties about aging.
Dude, I need you to know, we've referenced this before. Like, I am a Metal Gear Solid and Death Stranding. I am like a Hideo Kojima stan. Like, you merely adopted the weird characters that don't talk like humans. I was born in it, molded by it. Like, I have lived in the world of the characters that don't actually talk like real humans talk about. But it was kind of nice that I'm watching, and I'm like, yeah, this feels like it was written by someone else.
This is a believable conversation between human beings. This is, that's
You
how
can-
people talk
This
to
feels
each
like a
other.
conversation I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it actually
aside,
captures that really, really well. Yeah.
Yeah, but that aside, you can absolutely see his influence.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So
Like his executive producing.
yeah, so he's executive producing. He's the director of this episode. His fingerprints are all over
Yes.
this, but the dialogue,
Yeah.
like I think the dialogue, like the words that are given, and like the general outline of how a scene should go that you get from the script, is much stronger here than we've seen in other Shyamalan stuff. But one criticism that I've seen of Shyamalan, like on Letterboxd and stuff, and one way that people talk about him in his movies is, Shyamalan, the way he directs actors makes them sound wooden and strange, and they talk like aliens. I especially saw that around Old, and people talk about that in Trap like a lot.
There was an accident in the kitchen. This person was burned.
Yeah.
but
so-
again,
It was
different
really
goals.
scary.
But so that, again, that has a different purpose.
Yeah.
But here he's directing people in a very naturalistic way, with the exception of one character. I think Leanne does not act naturalistic, but I don't think she's supposed to. I think she could be a character that just walked out of a Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of the counter proof to a criticism that I have seen of Shyamalan, is that he is a director who makes actors act weird. And I don't think that is true, and I think this is the proof that that's not true. That I think he has very specific goals in his directing that work for his movies. Doesn't work for everybody, obviously. His movies are very divisive, but I think work for his movies. And his goal here is something much more naturalistic, except in very specific circumstances. And I think it really, really works here. So he's not, writing this himself, and he's not adapting it from a comic book or a novel or something. This is just a script that he's been given to direct, and it's really, really interesting. I think he does a great job directing it.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
For sure.
And the very, like you said, his fingerprints. Talked about twist already. Talked about that feeling of like that unease that he likes to create. Talked about the Shyamalan cameo. And maybe this will change later. He does not end up getting revealed to actually be the mastermind behind all of this. We mentioned that he had a Shyamalan cameo. We didn't say what it was, but we mentioned that he shows up as a cameo.
Yeah, he's like a delivery guy.
Yeah, he delivers like meat for Sean to like make dinner out of. He delivers rabbit meats.
No voice lines this time.
No voice lines. No secretly the mastermind behind all of it this time.
He's like out of focus the entire time.
Yeah, like you have to kind of know what you're looking for because he even has like a baseball cap on. Like you don't really see all of his face, but like even from a distance, I'm like, there he is. There's my man. The one thing I want to know: do you think it being set in Philadelphia was like a hard line for Shyamalan? That he's like, I will help you get this show made.
I think that was a condition of him coming onto the project. Like,
that's why when I was like, do you think he was like, I will talk to my contacts at Apple TV and I will get the show made if it's set in Philadelphia? Because
this whole thing is like, this whole thing is super Philadelphian. So they're like naming streets. I'm like, wait a second, I've been there. I'm pretty sure that's near Rittenhouse Square. And she's reporting for Rittenhouse Square. Yeah, it's very, very Philadelphian.
But what I want to know is
drop
like,
a lot of like places that are well known.
Are we going to get to episode 2 and then it's like set in Chicago? Like they're just like, yeah. For the episode that Shyamalan directed, we said Philadelphia. We're moving past that. We're not bringing that up again.
Yeah, they skip town. We don't mention it. They have to move out of there. It's too awkward.
It's like when you watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and like an actress completely changes, or like what was it, Family? There's some TV show from the 90s where a character just like disappears and is never brought up again. It's like that. They're just like, yeah, I don't know, that was his thing, but whatever. It's in LA now. It's in Toronto. I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I want to know if he was literally like, I will executive produce the show and make sure it gets made. I will use every contact in the industry I have. Tony, I will make sure a show gets made if it's in Philadelphia. If he was like a hard line for that. Because that is such a specific M. Night Shyamalan thing. And I want a cameo in the episode I direct.
Yeah.
That was the extent of his negotiations. He's like, you can do whatever else you want. I don't care.
Any other notes? Anything else you want to say?
A good show. It's very rare these days that I watch a new TV show and the first episode like hooks me.
Yeah. No,
I feel like that's kind of a bloated market, and this one hooked me.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that I am glad I watched the show now, because I feel like it's not that the show's the only one to do it, because it's actually a weirdly played out thing. Like the dead kid thing, like is weirdly present in like film and TV and stuff. Like I guess because it's an interesting angle. But I do feel like I remember watching a ways back when the first Dead Island of all things to connect to, the first Dead Island video game came out. Do you remember like the Dead Kid trailer for that?
Yes.
There's like this video game Dead Island, and there's a trailer for it where it like shows this like 8-year-old girl and she's like dead, and then it like plays in reverse of her like going back up through this window that she fell out of. Like the whole trailer's in reverse, and people are like, oh, this trailer's really good, so the game's gonna be good. And then the game came out and it wasn't good, but like that trailer really made an impact. And there was a while back Rooster Teeth, before, you know, rest in peace Rooster Teeth,
Yeah.
they did this like reaction video where they had like one of the guys who worked there, it was Jeff, he like had a daughter who was like the same age as this character, and they're like, hey, you should watch this trailer for this game, and he gets like 3 seconds in and he's like, nope, this, the people who made this are evil, I can't watch this is terrible, like because it's just too, he's a dad and he sees like this kid. So I do feel like this is something that like everybody has their own thing that might be like a make or break. But I feel like if you were like, I'm, you know, approaching 2 years into marriage, like we don't have a kid yet, I do feel like there's a very good chance, like I don't know, like 6 years from now, like we have a kid or whatever, like whatever the time is, that like if I watch this as like a new father, I might turn it off 10 minutes in and never come back to it. Like this is something that I do, like that was a conscious thought I was having, was like, it's a good thing I'm watching this now, because it is very likely at a certain point in my life, like I literally could not watch this show. So
This is why
so I need to binge it.
This is why when you told me to watch John Wick right after it first came out, I turned it off 15 minutes in and then didn't watch it again for another like 6 years.
Yeah, and I get dogs, that can be a thing. I mean, this is another struggle, is that we have pet rabbits, and movies and TV shows love to kill rabbits even more than they love to kill dogs.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like anytime they have like
though.
a post-apocalyptic survival thing, they're like killing bunnies. In this one, it's just that M. Night Shyamalan, he delivers rabbit meat for the dad to make, and like watching the scene where Sean is like cutting the rabbit meat up into dinner, like that's a little, I don't like that, being a bunny owner.
Yeah.
So that was a little hard.
Yeah, I
but
don't
I'm
have
just
any
like,
pets and I'll never have any kids, so I'm fine.
yeah, you're fine. You can watch anything.
It's all right.
But I'm gonna need like I feel it. I feel like, you know, I'm gonna be like a hardliner, like anti-dead kid media. When not that it like shouldn't be made, not literally 1984, but like you're gonna be like, hey, should we watch this movie? And I'm like, is there a dead kid in it? You're like, there is a dead kid. I'm gonna be like, that's no deal. That's no deal, no thanks. I'm out.
Wow.
What was the movie that we watched that made Sarah cry just from the description of it?
That was
that was Knock at the
that was
Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin.
Oh wow,
That was Knock at the Cabin.
wow.
Because I'm just
You
like,
were
but
telling-
this couple loves each other so much, and he's like, I have to die, and she just starts crying. Like over anything involving like a romantic partnership, like a monogamous couple, where something bad happens to one of them, she can't do.
Aw, that's sweet.
She listened to this book. I take this as a compliment, I guess. She listened to a book where it's like Groundhog Day, except this woman's husband dies every single day, and she had to like listen to it in chunks because she would just start like sobbing, like.
Aw.
But the worst part was she literally listened to it while
That's
she was
so
like away
sweet.
for the weekend, like while she was driving somewhere else, and she's like,
So you weren't there?
Yeah, I'm talking about you. So she was literally like, I can't do this. So we all have our things. I feel like this, I need to like
Yeah.
binge it now when it's not my thing.
Yeah.
Because this is gonna be my thing.
Yeah.
And
It's just a shame that you have had the series finale spoiled because of Wikipedia.
Oh, woof.
to be fair, I feel like you'll get there and be like, oh, okay, that's.
Okay.
But and speaking of Aaron, he can't share his thoughts yet because we haven't seen it. But the Catholic priest in the room did just watch the Pope drama movie Conclave.
Oh my
The
gosh.
Pope election
I
drama.
can't
If you're gonna
wait.
talk about how we all have our thing,
Yeah. My thing, it makes me cry, and I can't listen to it in the car, is the Good Friday Reproaches. It's gorgeous, and I can't listen to it. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever written. Makes me cry. Can't listen to it when I'm driving. Look up Clamavi de Profundis' recording of the Good Friday Reproaches. It's gorgeous if you understand some Latin.
but not in a way that
It is in Latin.
but in a way that annoys you. The Pope drama, election thriller, Conclave.
Oh, yeah, I did watch Conclave. You can read my Letterboxd review of it. It is. I
Oh.
gave it 1 star.
Oh,
Wait, hold on! Don't say anymore. Don't say anymore. I'm gonna wait. I know. I want to watch it before I learn any more thoughts of yours.
Okay. I am currently working on my season 2 essay. It's going to be about Conclave.
Yes. Okay, but now, Aaron, next time you're in the neighborhood and you decide to pick up like an HBO Max subscription, could you watch Young Pope and the New Pope and tell me your thoughts?
I have seen the Young Pope
Oh, okay.
twice, actually.
Twice.
I have not seen the New Pope.
What were you-
So that season 2 of that show I have not seen with John Malkovich.
Yeah,
I
love
have
John
not-
Malkovich.
I have not seen season 2, the New Pope. I have seen the Young Pope twice.
How many?
Most of it twice.
Without elaborating, how many stars out of 5 would you give the Young Pope?
3.5.
Oh, okay.
But the reason I give it 3.5 is because it has very high highs and very low lows.
No elaborating. Okay. But like
Yeah.
that is in a very different way. That's one of your things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you make a
Yeah.
Catholic church movie, Aaron's gonna have an opinion on it one way or another.
I'm gonna have an opinion on it. And I still think like one of the greatest Catholic Church movies of all time is Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Fantastic.
It's really great. So that is a movie that like that's not how the church works at all, but I don't care because it's just so much fun. Like it doesn't matter. Everyone's having a good time. It's a really positive look at what like an idealized, detached version of Catholicism is.
But that's like what the
and
movies
it's
are.
Fun.
That's the movies. Doesn't have to be real. It just has to make you feel.
I can't talk about Conclave because I'm writing a whole essay about it, and I don't want to spoil anything.
Hans, you want to watch Conclave this weekend?
sure.
Yeah, I want you both to see. I say in my Letterboxd review, go see it. I don't care if you see it, but and I'm not going to tell you what the but is. But
But there's a but.
There's
A
a but.
pretty
There's a
big
but.
one.
That's a but.
yeah,
But it's a cow. Go on the Wikipedia
The-
page, and the first line will just be like, and Aaron said this about it.
I don't remember when it was. I don't remember what movie it was that we were seeing, but the first time that I saw the preview for Conclave with Zach and Sarah at the theater, all 3 of us looked at each other and said, Aaron has to see this. Like, I
yeah.
can't wait to hear what Aaron
I
has
saw
to
it
say
opening
about
night.
this movie.
I and another a priest buddy of mine, we went and saw it opening night,
Amazing.
and
How
then
many other
after
people
the
were there?
movie, there were like maybe 50 people in the theater. It was actually pretty
Okay.
empty.
Oh.
It was in one of the big, so it was in like one of the big theaters in this multiplex. And then after the movie, as people were shuffling out, a few people left and then turned around and came back to ask us our opinion.
Nice. Because you were wearing the
Oh, yeah,
the collar.
yeah.
Nice.
I was in full uniform.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous of those people because I would love, like, I know you as a person, but like,
Yeah,
Not
you
a
have
priest
a
that
priest
knows
on
a
call.
person.
You have my phone number. If you need a priest question, you can just call me and
No,
ask.
no, 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 no. But I would love to just not be expecting it, to not know the person at all, show up for the Conclave movie and look at my ticket stub and realize I don't have a ticket stub, it's on my phone. But like, and realize
Yeah.
I'm just sitting next to like two priests. That would be amazing. I would be like, oh, I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. I'm looking over at their faces every chance I get to see what they're thinking.
So it was just kind of spur of them. We were out at dinner with some old friends from seminary who were in the area, so we grabbed like a super early dinner or super late lunch. And then I said, hey, like we rode together because our parishes were really, really close by, so we carpooled to stuff together. And I said, hey, this movie is premiering today, and I know you probably don't want to see it, but my friends really want me to see it, and I really want to see it. Do you want to go see it tonight? He's like, yeah, sure, let's go see it. So it was just spur of the moment. We didn't have tickets ahead
I'm
of
so
time or
happy
anything. We
about
just
every
showed
single
up.
part of this.
That's perfect.
We just showed up
Perfect.
and bought tickets. And so we walk in the door of the theater and we walk up to the counter, and like the 14-year-old girl behind the counter, she looks at us and goes, Conclave. And
You accidentally did the like Vine thing. When like you show up in full Batman gear and they're like, what movie are you seeing? And you're like, I'm here for Despicable Me. Like that thing. Like you're literally
and I'm like, yeah.
I just want to imagine
That's
this girl's like,
amazing.
oh, they did priest cosplay. No, that would be like going to see the Book of Mormon like next to like a group of Latter-day Saints. Like that would be amazing.
But she's like, Conclave. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you can't fool me. I went to Catholic school. I'm like, I'm not trying to fool anybody.
You very much were not trying to fool anyone.
No.
You were the most genuine a person could be.
Aw.
But no, if I sat in the theater for Conclave and there were just like two priests next to me, I would like lose my mind. I'd be so stoked.
Well, two priests sitting next to you trying desperately not to just talk to each other the entire time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was not doing a good job, but I was trying to hold it in the whole time.
So
I
Han,
genuinely, I don't think I care about the movie at all. I don't think I care if it's good or bad.
I do. It
I
looks
only
fun.
want to see it so that I can understand. Like when we saw that preview, that was all that was going through my head was I need to see this movie so that I can understand what Aaron's talking about when he gives me his review. That's all I care
I like
about.
Ralph Fiennes. I like Stanley Tucci. It looks fun.
I will say the acting is incredible.
Nice.
The costumes are immaculate.
Nice.
It's beautifully lit and shot.
So you gave this. This is like a Sarah Banshees of Inisherin 1 star. This is like a
1 star.
This is like a
That's
when Hans
a
and
me
Sarah
Banshees of
reviewed
Inisherin.
Banshees.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up writing like at least 15 pages about why it's a 1-star movie. Like,
Yeah. But no, this Hans, this I think had to be the Blazing Saddles reissue or Megalopolis that we saw the preview in front of, or Shaun
One
of the
of them.
Dead. It had to be one of those three. Because Sarah was with us, so it wasn't Joker Part 2. Hans and I did go see Joker Part 2. And that's very important that you know that. That I saw Joker
I
Part
haven't
2
seen that yet.
opening
I still
weekend
need to
in
see that.
IMAX.
There was nobody there. It was like, was it a Saturday or a Sunday? I can't remember.
This was Sunday. Yeah.
Sunday of opening weekend. It was like middle of the day, prime time, and there was no one in the theater.
Wouldn't happen any other way. This is
was
something I'm like
great.
never gonna forget is that I literally watched both Megalopolis. Megalopolis I don't think was technically opening weekend. I think we went second weekend, but I saw Megalopolis in IMAX and then saw Joker in IMAX, and that Joker 2 in IMAX, and that's just fantastic. That's great. That's movies.
It's a good couple days.
that's cinema. That's some good kino.
Quality kino.
I just wished we lost more people throughout the screening. We only had one walkout. I was so disappointed.
I wanted like empty theater by the end of it.
I have never walked out of a movie.
Neither have I. I wouldn't.
Like-
it would take a lot for me.
I mean,
to
I
walk
would
out of
take a
movie, but
lot.
I mean,
for
I
me
was
to walk out of a
joking,
movie.
but part of me really wanted to like go back and like just get a Monday night ticket to see Joker Part 2 like the day after, and just so I like to see it a second time,
just
I
so
could
you
walk
could
out.
walk out.
Because like I stayed through. I
That's-
was sad. I was seated. I was watching the whole thing. But I would go to a movie a second time to walk out like 20 minutes in.
I want that experience so badly. Just once in my life, I want to go to a movie that is anticipated to be terrible, that the general masses will not like, and I want to go there in a packed theater and by the end of the movie be the only person, or like our group be the only people left. I don't know why, but that would be so incredibly satisfying to me.
I'm gonna literally like Nathan Fielder the rehearsal, like rents out a private theater and hire like 20 actors to sit in there. And like I need a guy to stand up and be like and like throw his popcorn on the ground and walk out. Like just to live out this like weird like Abed fantasy.
But no, so this has been In Over Our Heads presents M. Night Shyamalan. I really like this. If you have Apple TV Plus, go watch it. I don't know how it goes past this. I plan on finding out what happens after episode 1.
I plan on finding what happens in season 1, episode 2 through 10, season 2, episode 1 through 10, season 3, episode 1 through 10, and then season 4, episode 1 through 9, because I already know what happens in season 4, episode 10.
Thanks for listening. I think this one's over. You're gonna get a lot of stuff after the ending music here, because I think a lot of what we were just talking about for the last half hour or so was interesting, but doesn't belong in the episode. So I'm gonna tack it at the end.
If we were actually like real podcasters,
So look forward to that. Stick around after the music, because there will be something good.
if we were like real podcasters, we were to have like the kind of things we discussed in this episode: M. Night Shyamalan's, Servant, season 1, episode 1, Convent, no, not Convent, Conclave, and this book, like most of the podcasts I listen to try to give you a summary at the very end of everything they talked about. I can't do
Read
that. Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah, read good books.
Read good books. Watch good TV.
Read some Oscar Wilde. It's beautiful.
Okay, here's the thing. Read good books. Check. Watch good TV. Check. Watch bad movies. There we go.
We have watched a lot of bad movies.
Bad movies are fun. I can't stand a bad book. I love a bad movie.
Oh, bad book? Not
Put it down.
fun.
10 pages in, done.
Bad movie?
Bad movie.
Great time.
Bad TV show? If it's your thing.
Yeah.
Not my thing, but...
Go either way.
You like hot dogs, right?
So are we, is this a Shyamalan win or a Shyamalan?
Shyamalan win.
Oh, this is a win.
This is a Shyamalan win. It's
Absolutely,
not even
this
close.
is a
I'm
win.
so upset I can't give this a good review on Letterboxd. Like, they announced like
Yeah.
a year ago that Letterboxd was gonna let you log TV shows or something. Make it.
Oh.
I was opposed to that, but now I'm pro because I want to put Servant on there.
It would, that might ruin the platform.
Well, hear me out.
Worse than it already is.
You know what? I want.
What?
For a while, this is what would make me completely on board with it. If Letterboxd announced a sister website, Pillarboxd, that was for TV. Just like literally Letterboxd for TV. Mm-hmm. And call it Pillarboxd. There's your branding.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. If it were a separate app, I'd be fine with it.
I don't want TV shows on Letterboxd. But I would be
No.
okay with like a Letterboxd for
Well,
TV.
because it would be like, they would have to like really separate everything out, because it would be like Conclave and Joker Folie à Deux, and then 37 episodes of Seinfeld.
Yes. But I would love to see Hans, if they make Pillarboxd or whatever it is, TV Letterboxd, I need you to log.
I
like,
would absolutely
your
rate
17th
every
rewatch of
single
Always Sunny.
episode of Seinfeld.
But
And Always Sunny.
But again, this is the thing. It's like an
Lost.
intangible thing. I can't fully put it in words, but it's like how I was saying at the start. I don't watch TV the same way I watch like movie people and TV people are different. They're built different.
Different
Yeah.
people.
And I don't want the TV people to infect Letterboxd. But I would have accounts in both, and I would log stuff. I would be like, yes, I did watch, Community season 2 episode 10 4 times today. I don't care. No shame in my game. Because that's the thing is, I have Letterboxd for movies. I have Goodreads for books. I have How Long to Beat for video games. I think that's it. If I had something for TV, that would like complete it. I'd be good. Like I log everything that I do, all media.
I have finished my 20th book this year, a couple days ago. I need 4 more books by the end of the year to hit my goal.
24 is logical.
Same thing my sister's doing. We have the same goal this year.
Well, but mine is
24
my
books in 2024.
yeah, mine's my reading goal corresponds to the year, so it'll be 25 books for 2025.
Okay,
Is that what you're doing, or?
sure. It is now.
I mean,
This is the first year I've set a reading goal like that.
oh,
So
nice. I like opened up Goodreads and it like flashbanged my. How do I see reading
No
challenge?
dark mode in that one, huh?
Nope. This
it's a trash website.
this
to be
website
honest.
has been updated since like 2007. Hans, there is no dark mode. I have read 31 books this year.
Wow.
How many of those aren't like real books?
Hans, to answer your question.
I'm sorry, Aaron, but I have
All
to.
books are real books.
Okay, but he'll stand in Barnes and I've seen him do this. He'll stand in Barnes and Noble and he'll pick up like a children's comic book or something and he'll flip through it real quick and then he'll log it on Letterboxd. Like he'll do it all in
On
one
Goodreads.
like stance. I've witnessed this happen.
Okay, to be fair, of my 31
Or not
books I've read
Letterboxd,
this year, 3 of
Goodreads.
those would fall under that.
Uh-huh.
I've still
Okay.
read 28 real books this year.
3 more than I would have.
That's still
counted.
I'm not going to say that's obviously impressive. That's many more than I have, but you can't like in all honesty say that the number is 31.
I did my most recently completed book is Christmas at Hogwarts, which I did read standing in a Sam's Club. The worst one
It's
is
mostly a picture book, but okay.
well, what it is, it's literally just like when you're reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's
Yeah.
Stone, the like chapters about him waking up during Christmas, like the chapter about him waking up during Christmas. It's like there's no new text for it. They just took text from
Yeah.
that of him. He woke up and he had a Weasley sweater, but the pictures, the illustrations are very cute. The worst one was 2022. I read 92 books in 2022. And those are not like all children's picture books, but I did read like a lot of graphic novels. So I do have like the entire like Neon Genesis Evangelion series,
Oh,
which
wow.
like they're not children's picture books, but you can go through those like pretty fast. Like you can go through
Oh,
manga
I
like,
didn't
pretty quickly.
think I could do that. I should log Akira then.
Oh,
I read Akira this year.
literally logged. Huh? What do you mean you didn't know you could do that?
No, I didn't know I could do graphic novels on that platform.
Yeah, no, my I read through Akira. I don't like that I'm going to say the sentence. I read through Akira on my honeymoon. Like when we were in Italy on my honeymoon, I was like when we were on the bus going between cities, I was reading through Akira. For
It's really good.
For 2023, I read 55 books and 6 of those are Akira. Like you can literally see like that it was like June of 2023 when I was on my honeymoon. I was reading
Well, then
Akira.
I probably already hit my goal.
Yeah, no, you can definitely log graphic novels. That's not even cheating. Those count. Those are books. Those count more than
I
a
just don't think
Christmas at Hogwarts.
Yeah. No,
That-
I'm talking
I-
about when you
that is
put
definitely
like
true.
tremendous tractors or whatever it was called on your Goodreads.
I only do that as a bit every now and again. The problem is
trying to
I
pad
will.
out
Okay,
numbers.
you do it as a bit, but then when you're talking about how many books you've read, you don't exclude them from the
'Cause
total.
I don't sit there and go and manually count them out. The problem is I will do that like 10 times a year, but I will log it like 3 times a year. Like I'll go and just read a kid's book and not log it. I've done that multiple times this year because I'll like go and I'll pick up a kid's book and Sarah's like, "Don't you log that on Goodreads."
See, she knows. She knows.
So I'm only doing that like half the time. I still read real books. I'm in the middle of. I'm currently reading 5 books right now, which is demented.
Wow.
An instrumented. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not trying to like lower your accomplishments here. I'm just saying
You are numerically lowering them by at least 3
Yes, but
this
not
year.
by not. You're trying to make it seem like I'm lowering them by like 100%. I'm lowering them by what was it like 10%?
That is.
I think that's fair.
You are lowering them though. Although I do think right now I'm reading 5 books at the same time. I do think that is the most I've ever had at the same time.
I don't know how you can like do that. My brain could not do that.
Well, because
I
I'm
don't think
reading-
I could focus on
Well, they're
that.
all very different from each other. I'm reading Technopoly, The Surrender of Culture to Technology by Neil Postman. I'm listening to the audiobook of Ask an Astronaut, My Guide to Life at Space by Tim Peake, former astronaut for the Canadian Aeronautics Space Agency. I'm reading On Writing, A Memoir of the Craft by Stephen King. I'm still reading A Masterpiece in Disarray, David Lynch's Dune and Oral History, which I started back in February. I'm really chugging through that one. And then I just recently started a Storm of Swords by George R. R. Martin.
Oh,
so they're all like
nice.
very different from each other. I'm not reading like 2
Yeah.
fantasy books at the same time.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, I just finished Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy.
Ooh, how was that?
That was rough. I mean, it was beautiful
Yeah.
and terrible and horrifying and obviously like incredibly skillfully written. However, it took me forever to get through because I had to be in the mood for
Yeah.
that.
I just
I
read.
couldn't just like, oh, I'll just do some reading and sit down and read Blood Meridian. Like it was rough.
I just read The Orchard Keeper by Cormac McCarthy recently, like his first book. I've not read
This
Blood
is my
Meridian
first
yet.
Cormac McCarthy. This is my first Western I've ever read.
Oh, you should
Um,
read The Road. I read that a couple years back. I
I
really liked that
was at
one.
Barnes & Noble a couple days ago. I almost picked that up, but I didn't.
The Road by Cormac McCarthy. You would like that, I think.
Because I have other books I need to read first. But I told myself I'm not going to buy any more books until I finish The Last Wish.
Ooh, the last Let's Go. All right.
book.
Yeah.
Talking my language right now.
Yeah, but I finished Blood Meridian, and I am almost done with Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which is probably one of the most beautiful books I've ever read.
My man's reading Peak right now.
Well, and then, so now that I finished, I have an audiobook and a print book going at the same time. So when I'm in the car or the shower, I'm listening to my audiobook or like folding laundry or something. And then when I have time to sit down, I'm reading like a print book. So I like to read classical literature, something really nice and meaty when I on print. But then I'm listening to Betrayer by Aaron Dembski Bowden. It's like the 28th novel in the Warhammer Horus Heresy series. I'm listening to that on audiobook. And it's basically the entire novel so far. I'm like 4 hours in, and it's just one long battle scene.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Which is great, because when it's like, 6:30 in the morning and I get in the shower and I'm listening to a book, I can't really do something that takes a lot of mental effort to understand.
No, that's fair.
Not that Aaron Dembski Bowden's a bad author. I think he's a good writer. But it is like pulp. It's like slightly elevated pulp sci-fi. I mean, it's really fun to listen to. And
Del Rey published set of like Han Solo Star Wars like tie-in novels like sit on my shelf like that I've been meaning to read. That sounds fun. Yeah, I'm actually very surprised. I see that on
Angron got into this fight with his brother Lorgar, and it's fun. It's super cool.
I'm very surprised.
Angron is the angry one, because his name is Angron.
Really?
And Lorgar is the one who's into forbidden knowledge because his name is Lorgar.
I respect it. I'm quite surprised.
This episode ended a while ago.
Yeah. I'm on Goodreads. I see that my sister added On Writing, a memoir of the craft by Stephen King to her want-to-read list. Kind of surprises me.
So you will see on Goodreads I do have like 14 books in progress. That is not true.
My 5 books in progress are 5 books in progress.
Yeah, I have those books. That's where I am in those books currently, but a lot of them I put down like years ago and I haven't picked up again. And I plan to get to them, and I'm trying to work through my backlog. And actually, that'd be a pretty easy way to knock out a few more books this year.
If you start a book like 200 pages in that you last read back in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.